We're going to look at 3 different replays at 3 different MMRs of people playing Ursa. This first one is Hurl Treat, then we'll be looking at a Legend player, and finally an Immortal. So straight away here, Ursa has got the body blocking, he's got position 5 Pudge support, so kind of at a disadvantage of what you would see with maybe other MMRs, and he's also started with a Blightstone, which is kind of negatively impacting his last hits, but I think the idea is instead of getting a Quelling Blade, he's going to be farming heroes instead of creeps. So straight up here, he's attacking CK and running down CK. Doesn't have boots yet. Oh, Pudge throws a hook. Oh, very nice. And we got a kill here. That's not first blood, but their team is ahead now by 3 kills already, and it's only a minute into the game. So Ursa's low health now. He's no regen, but 1,000 gold, and he doesn't go back. He doesn't use the courier. He ends up getting killed here, and he dies. Now, when he respawns, he just teleports back to his lane and doesn't buy any items. It would help him so much in lane. Especially how he's missing a lot of last hits as well. Oh, we got a hook off of Pudge. Amazing play there by Pudge. Like, this is the Pudge you want. Is this Dendy the Smurf? So he keeps standing in lane now. He's got 5 Fury Swipe stacks built up. He casts it just before CK went diving. He gets the attacks in, uses Fury Swipes again, and gets the extra ones, and identifies the illusion one straight away. Is he going to get away from this as well? Wow, that's actually an amazing play. Like, it's definitely not something you would expect even from Guardian or Crusader to utilize the stacks of, like, both of them. So he picks up the Bounty Rune, and guy's Desolator now. He's going straight into Roche. Is this the early Roche attempt? Is he going to actually be able to do this? I don't know what the interactions with Roche are now in the new patch with Ursa, because he's got changed a good few times. He's getting pretty low now. He's going to commit. He has his ult ready. Okay, nice. Is he going to be able to do this? Maybe. Oh. Oh no. And he's 30 seconds to wait. Is the enemy doing Roche now? What's happening? Who's in Roche? Is someone in Roche? What's going on? Lion is in Roche. And Shadow Fiend. Now Ursa is respawning. He teleports to his shrine. He's going back in. Where's Roshan? Where's Roche? He's gone. He's gone, guys. He's gone. Roche is dead. Why did no one go Roche? And now Roche appears back. Oh, and he's going for the Roche. The second attempt. Round 2. Okay, let's go Roche again, guys. Clinks, come help. Shadow Fiend appears. And Shadow Fiend gets the kill on Ursa. So what? No more. Now he buys a dust. Like, this time the Invis Shadow Fiend isn't gonna catch him. He's going. Oh, he uses a dust. He checks outside. Now he's finishing off the Roche. Lion comes. Oh no. What is this? Oh, Shadow Fiend's coming. He's gonna race him. Oh. He doesn't have the shrine ready and he gets fingered. Oh. That's a disaster. Where's his team? He's actually throwing the game at this point. He's losing so much experience at the same time because he's not getting Roche. And Shadow Fiend's now struggling to kill Roche. Is he going to get it? He does. And Shadow Fiend takes the Roche. Disastrous plays here by the Ursa. Was that 3 attempts that he made on Roche? Oh no. Okay, we have Pudge getting some hooks here out, and CK's on his own. There's chance still for a comeback. Like, Ursa's now being able to, like, get some kills here. He still doesn't have boots. It's 20 minutes into the game. Probably one of the best hero to buy boots on. He only bought 1 dust, so he didn't have dust there to get detection of them. So now he got boots here, 23 minutes. He's going diving CK now, who is pushing solo on his own. And CK just manages to get out, does he? CK just ran away and no one followed him. And CK has Echo Saber now? Okay, and he's staying top constantly. And Ursa is still searching for him. Now he's back into Roche. Is this round 4 for Roshan? He's checking invisibility heroes nearby. He's getting 7 stacks up before he goes in on his overcharge. Now this time he's level 18. He also has Basher. Oh, Shadow Fiend comes. And this is why you want to put down a sentry ward just outside Roshan. A dust is really not that good for, like, controlling a certain zone or area. Now Ursa dropped his arcane ring on the ground, and Since then, he's had a hard time keeping up with his mana. It could have been a good idea to keep the arcane ring in his backpack and then swap it out when it's ready off cooldown, just to get that extra bit of mana. Typically, a lot of people are buying stuff like clarities, especially wants to keep track of like how many teleports he has and buying multiple of them, especially seeing as there's no side shops anymore. But now he gets caught here by Bristle and Shadow Fiend. Even though he's able to do some decent fighting back here and almost kill Shadow Fiend, it's really a stupid time to die, especially when his team are not grouped together. Especially seeing as CK bought back here, like he rage buy back. Now Ursa's a little bit late here. He has the Abyssal, he uses it. On kind of CK there, not the greatest usage there because CK was already pretty low. And you want to finish off this line pretty early on because he's just going to continuously keep disabling you over and over like this. He's going rage mode and running in like an idiot, but this is tanking here for the Clinks, and Pudge gets to walk in and dismember onto Shadow Fiend. So this ends up being a nice little bait here, and Ursa gets the finishing off kill here. So that ended up being a pretty valuable buyback there. And now we have a Gem of True Sight dropped on the ground, but Ursa's tunnel vision, he has to go Roche. This is like round 5 for Roshan, and he has to get it this time. If he doesn't get Roche this time, I don't know. He can't lose 5 out of 5 rounds against Roche. He finally got it. And this time he got Cheese and Refresher. Is he going to give the Refresher to someone else? And he has no boots. He uses the Cheese. He could have sold it even. Not a great idea, to be honest with you. So they're not finding any kills here. And Bristle is pushing here on his own. And Ursa is coming in. He's going to go in first to see. They're all like literally approaching Bristle from all different angles here. And Ursa goes in first. He jumps and starts hitting Bristle from the back. Now he keeps hitting Bristle from the back. He's still hitting him from the back. Oh no. Bristle just killed the whole team. What in the world? Ursa. He's still hitting him in the back. Come on. You can't be serious. This Ursa just killed his whole team. And now Clinks is going in CK. Oh, Ursa ends up dying here. He didn't even utilize this refresher shard either. And Clinks is getting finished off here. This is just GG off of those Fury swipes. No way. Oh. So that's Hurled Gaming 5. So now we're looking at a Legend 5 Ursa. And straight away this Ursa has only got 4 last hits in the first 2 minutes. And they're going here on Timbersaw, and he ends up getting a salve off and running away. Ursa chases after him, trying to get the kill here. And at this point is kind of where you want to back off, especially when you've only 1 point in Fury swipes. But he ends up getting caught here by the Jakiro slow and can't really escape out of this and still committing. And maybe a few patches ago you could have got away with that and got the kill there. But right now his Fury swipes level 1 is not that good. And if you look at the other supports that are there, he currently has a Legion Commander who's in the jungle. And meanwhile, the enemy team has a Drow position 5. So it's kind of a bizarre matchup. So now Ursa's support has rotated the mid lane to try and defend a dive. And at the same time, Ursa's creeps get pulled into the big camp over here. And currently Ursa is just sitting out at the edge of the experience range. And he isn't really going in close to contest it. But because he got distracted by this, he never ended up getting the bounty rune. At the same time, the bounty rune over here near the outpost, he never went and got that. At the same time, he's missing experience here in lane that he could be getting pretty free last hits. And because his last hits is so bad, he might have been able to salvage more by just staying to the left hand side of this lane. So the other advantage of the Morbid Mask and constantly playing aggressive like this is that it allows him to build up these stick charges, which he can potentially turn into kills later on to bait the enemy in. As you'll see right now, Timbersaw will come and try and play aggressive here onto him, and he uses 19 stick charges there, and now is being able to chase after the Timbersaw. If he didn't have the stick charges, he could either die or he wouldn't even be able to continuously keep fighting like this. So that ends up turning straight away into a kill, and Ursa can keep farming like this, and he can even go back into the jungle and he can keep sustaining with this lifesteal plus the wand. Now this laning stage is going on quite a long time. In immortal matches usually people will be trying to push down the towers, but the advantage of what Ursa is doing is that he's constantly staying in the lane. He's not giving Timbersaw free time to do whatever he wants. And Timbersaw is really struggling with his his lane. Like typically Timbersaw wants to finish out this lane and push down the tower, but as you see, Timbersaw is actually dying here to Ursa solo, and even Jakiro came to try and help. So this is really good pressure, and it's a bigger advantage than if you take, for example, what this Legion commander is doing, still sitting in the jungle with an armlet, and Ursa meanwhile is making space for this and even gets another kill here on Jakiro. A little bit overcommit, but it is turning out to be a big advantage for their team, and this Morphling is also taking advantage of this by pushing down this tower. And this is not a smart move, because once you get stunned here, this opens up the opportunity for the enemy to teleport into this outpost. Now he even tries to take the outpost even when Drow was shown in the lane as well. Now he still keeps committing here, and once he has Faceless Void shown in the lane, he's pretty much dead, but he ends up salvaging a really nice kill here onto Drow. So this is kind of not the best play to do, especially when you see the timer around that point. If this was slightly better players who had better usage of timing, that rune would have been gone at 20 minutes, not 20 minutes and 15 seconds that Ursa went there at. So Ursa can see particle effects inside the Roshan pit. He picks up a haste rune with his blink dagger. Now he is getting focused here by the supports, and Snapfire is, after getting off a pretty decent ultimate here, start off the fight. Now Razor is pretty low, and because of this damage coming out on Razor, he's going to end up backing off. Now Faceless Void doesn't have his ulti ready either, for whatever reason, wherever he used it. But Ligia ends up catching the Aegis there. She snatched it, even though the Radiant killed it. And at this point, they're just all backing out. But Ursa ends up catching the Drow here. So very nice little play there, with the Ursa being very fast to react to all of that. And was kind of like a somewhat of a factor in splitting up that team fight. So Ursa stands over here in the trees, and Legion Commander is the one with the Aegis. So Ursa keeps standing over here, and if we have a look from the other player's perspective, Drow Ranger is teleporting in here. If we have Jakiro's view, he's looking here at Legion Commander as well, and they're all focusing. Then Ursa, he decides to charge up 7 Fury Swipes, and then he's going to blink in here onto the Drow and bashes her straight away. Now he also focuses the Jakiro here and gets a double kill. At this point, he's kind of overcommitting now, so they're going a little bit too far, and Ursa ends up getting picked off here. So Ursa is catching up on some farm here, and his team are going for a fight into the enemy jungle. So if we have a look at Drow Ranger here, they're getting focused down here, and Ursa is now teleporting to the outpost. Now Ursa is looking at all of this, and we have Mars ult go off. He sees the Chrono as well, but here's a duel coming from Legion Commander, and Ursa ends up using his ultimate here just to finish off the Timbersaw, make sure that they get the duel damage. But now Ursa decides to blink in, and he blinks into 4 heroes. At this point, he's like, I immediately regret my decision, because he doesn't have his ulti ready, and Legion Commander kind of gets out here as well. So not the greatest idea to keep fighting there. Maybe even like a slight different usage of the ulti could have made that play work. You have to be somewhat careful here, and Ursa is being very careful. He's standing behind his tier 4, and does he have buyback right now? Whoa, did the game just crash? Oh no, I pressed pause. Oh, did the game just crash? Oh, right, so Ursa is going in here. We have Void is after casting the animation for his Chrono twice and cancelled it. I guess Ursa kind of saw that, and he's pretty obviously known that Ursa or Chrono is tried to be used with the BKB. He blinks into the back, and Ursa doesn't get caught by the Chrono. He ends up picking off Drow here, and Faceless Void is getting bashed here. He almost got Faceless Void there, but you end up getting the Jakiro instead. He has buyback now, and this ends up allowing them to go straight into Roshan and take this. So they also have cheese as well. So this is really a pinnacle point of where they can go and finish out the game. So it's important not to overcommit at this point. So they do pick off the Timbersaw here, and they still have no Chrono ready. At this point, Ursa is still standing in the back. He jumps in, gets a kill on Drow. There's buybacks now, and he still has the cheese ready. So he uses the cheese now, and Morphine's committing in further as well. So after blinking in there, trying to get like a perma bash onto the Faceless Void. It almost worked, but trying to save the Morphling there, ends up killing himself there. So kind of a mixture of like a bad combination of players blinking in, a little bit better patience to blink in at the same time as Legion went with her Jewel, would have been a more ideal scenario there. So Ursa has used his buyback now, and they're going kind of for an all-in play. Now the enemy has shown 2 heroes right now just into the vision of their wards right now. So you can see here the Drow and Razor is standing here, and this Observer ward is catching them. So Legion is standing in the smoke right here, and we have Ursa coming from the back. Now Ursa has expended his Blink Dagger just so that he could jump down off of high ground. Ideally he would have wanted to use Earth Shock to be able to jump up and down high ground because it has a shorter cooldown, but instead Legion goes in first, and they end up catching the Razor here and Drow, and these are 2 heroes that have no buyback right now. So it ended up being a really good smoke by the Legion, and also you see Razor saying we need wards, good game, well played. And this is not necessarily because of how good the wards were, but also because of the fact that the Ursa and Legion were exploiting this vision of the small time frame that they had where the enemy shows in the vision. But it's not over. They have Chrono, and the Morphling goes down, and Ursa manages just to get out with his BKB here, so he doesn't take damage from Jakiro's ultimate. Now Ursa is going back in, and the reason why he's going back in here is because he has 20 stick charges. He baits the Void in a little bit, the Morph is bought back as well, so they need to, the enemy's like backing up right now, and they end up catching Jakiro here when they're split, and this allows them to go and push this objective and potentially like even finish the game here. And the reason why they're able to do this is because they're exploiting these not only the vision but the long cooldown that they don't have Chronosphere ready, and they end up even managing just to focus the Ancient and finish out the game. So that's a really impressive example of where you need to keep the pace up. Now we're looking at an Immortal rank 200 Ursa, and this time he's up against Venomancer and Nyx, and he keeps trying to chase down this Venomancer, and he doesn't manage to get the kill here. He doesn't overcommit to try and get a dive under the tower, mainly because of this Nyx is able to respond. And if you watch what this Nyx is doing, he's constantly contesting what the Wyvern is trying to do with pulling creeps. Now at the same time, Ursa is not really watching what's happening with the Nyx, and because of this, the Nyx ends up killing his courier, which had boots. And this is a pretty critical part of Ursa being able to run down the enemy, especially when dealing with the slows that Venomancer has. It kind of like can make his lane much more difficult to find kills mainly, rather than like even escaping is trying to be hard enough. But you end up seeing now that Nyx is going on him, he gets a stun, he's getting slowed. He has no option now, and he knows he's dead because his support isn't nearby. His support had to go back to the fountain, and the Nyx pretty much outplayed them there pretty hard. However, now Ursa gets his chance to turn this around. He has his boots now, and he ends up catching Venomancer. The other thing to very note here is that Ursa now has 15 last hits, which is almost double what the previous Ursa had at this point. His support is getting focused here again by the offlaner, and there's not really much he can do about it, but he decides to go and try and get a kill to run down this Veno, but he ends up kind of getting caught here, and now he's committed his position forward. That once he commits forward against Venomancer, he can't really escape because the movement slow is just too great. So Ursa uses an Earth Shock here onto Venomancer, and he doesn't commit. Instead he uses a salve in the trees, and he jumps back out onto the Venomancer. Nyx manages to save him, but using that extra movement speed he is getting from the Windlace, he ends up getting another jump onto Veno and closing that distance. Now that was a pretty nice play there, and it might not seem like he's doing super well in this lane, but as a whole this is a really good trade-off because it's keeping this Nyx in bottom lane rather than the Nyx say rotating to mid lane. So Ursa is waiting bottom for his phase boots coming. He gets also a clarity on it, and he does show in lane here, and he uses an Earth Shock on the creeps to get some last hits, and they are committing onto this Wyvern now, and he's able to run after this Venomancer, gets a kill onto him, and they're even able to chase after this Nyx. Now the Nyx is trying to juke him, and Ursa moves out of the way of Nyx's stun. Nyx goes through the trees, and Ursa finds him again. Now he's still chasing through the trees, doesn't attack him while he has the spiked carapace, and ends up getting another kill. So this really favors Ursa's lane massively now because he's done this. Now the regen is not so great currently right now, but he has got a courier which has a salve, so he was predicting ahead of time what was going to end up happening and had that courier ready. This allows him to go play aggressive again, dodges yet another stun, and now can go on to Venomancer and run him down. Pretty straightforward kill here, but about a lot of the stuff he did prior, and even stopping his attack before Spike Carapace, he gets up a bunch of stacks here and getting as much of damage out as possible onto the Nyx here. He's even going to get a kill. Oh, very nice. That is pretty epic. So that salve that came, the little micro of the courier, really impressive to keep that momentum keep going. So what seemed like a pretty rough lane now, Ursa has managed to find Venomancer here and Lich. And this is another pretty big mistake by the enemy, getting caught out of position and having these item timings pretty early on, plus the extra movement slow of this Orb of Venom is really turning his lane into favor. He gets the outpost, he's 8 kills, 2 deaths right now. Very advantageous position right now, and no one even wants to come to his lane anymore. He's asserted his dominance. So as there's no one coming to Ursa's lane, he's pushing down this objective, and he's constantly cutting the creep wave like this until Templar Assassin comes. Now Ursa stays alone bottom, and he's waiting for the enemy to push in this tower. Now, because the games are much faster paced, the laning stage doesn't last as long, and a predictable point right now is to think that Ursa has just gone into the jungle, and that's probably what the Templar Assassin thinks. And this allows Ursa to go in, and he gets some attacks up here onto the Templar Assassin. They also have the dust ready, but the enemy supports are able to try and turn this around, but the Wyvern ult helps secure this kill. So that was a really nice rotation here by the Wyvern, but also somewhat credit goes to Ursa as well for sticking around and playing bait into that to force 3 heroes to come bottom. This opens up the opportunity then for the other players to push out the lanes up on top. We have this tower down here and they can't really respond to it so easily. So the enemy go Roshan and they end up killing it, while the Ursa is just sitting in lane, not really doing anything. Now at this point Venomancer is showing here and Ursa backs off a bit, but if we have a look top lane, Lich is showing here pushing these creeps, and when you take Roshan so early, typically you might have to go back in and use the shrine to heal back up, so they know that the other players are not ready in position. As a matter of fact, Troll is here kind of sitting on low health in the jungle, and he's waiting for the shrine to come off cooldown, and now he uses it. So this opens up their opportunity to go and push mid lane while the enemy is all out of position, and they only have 4 heroes as well. So if we look at Lich, he's currently coming in with a teleport, and Ursa's getting focused here, but now Ursa gets pretty much loses the aggro here as well, and we have this really amazing Winter Wyvern ult. He picks off Nyx Assassin, the Lich goes down, and Lich is their only really reliable disable for Ursa in this match, so it makes it significantly more easier for him in later fights, especially in any fight that Lich is just taken out of the question altogether. Now Ursa has seen Lich coming bottom, and this is around a point where players will come and try and take this outpost. So he sees 2 players here in lane, and he's gonna back off maybe, or else he's going to try and fight this. He's waiting for his allies to come nearby, but really just protecting this outpost more than anything, and also being able to get the bounty runes is kind of a critical objective at the moment. Now Ursa is coming in to scare off the enemies as well, and the bounces on Lich's ult end pretty quickly because they all separate out, they don't stand too close together. Now Ursa's wrapping around the back here, he catches Lich. Probably the most important target for him to get, because even though the Troll Warlord can put out a lot of damage, he can't really finish off the Ursa so easily, especially when Ursa can interrupt him at any point with that Abyssal Blade or a bash or something like that. So the Troll doesn't really have much impact here, and Ursa is able to heal back up, so he doesn't really necessarily need to get that Morbid Mass because the Wyvern on his team. So now the Templar Assassin's going in trying to sneak another Roshan. He does an Abyssal Blade onto the Venomancer, and now Templar Assassin goes in to try and fight. And Ursa is able to continue back into the fight now as well, and Tiny, even though he gets focused, the Wyvern can constantly save him. This opens up the opportunity for them to get rid of this Aegis. So now going high ground off of that, the Templar Assassin has no buyback unfortunately, and Ursa has this really aggressive positioning. And the first hero who he goes on is Nyx, and then he uses the Abyssal Blade onto the Lich. Taking out that Lich early on is very critical, and he's pretty much this unstoppable beast. He's going to go full mayhem now, and he's going to go onto the Troll, showing that he's such a savage beast, you can't even deal with him. So when the Venomancer buys back and nearly every hero is respawning at the same time, he doesn't give them the opportunity to cancel his teleport or to overcommit. So now after getting those items, Ursa is coming around, and he saw Temper Assassin here, picked up the illusion rune. So at this point he's just walking into the enemy jungle on his own. Now his support is moving towards a similar location as this, and Ursa ends up getting feared here by the Lich, and Temper Assassin almost ends up being able to kill him here. And with the invisibility of the Glimmer Cape, Ursa's attack actually stopped there, but because the Winter Wyvern was quick enough to blink in and put down the sentry ward, the Ursa was able to get that kill. But a pretty bad toss there by Tiny ends up killing the Ursa, followed up by a meld. And this was open up the opportunity now for them to get a ton of damage out and hexes out onto the Troll Warlord, and they do finish him off. So those early kills, you see how hard this Ursa ended up snowballing, and even though his last hits might not be that amazing, he really did make a huge impact in this game overall. His positioning was really good, and punishing the awareness that he had in this game. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more Dota content like this, make sure you subscribe.